in conversation with DJ Brand. DJ Brand was born and raised in Perth, Western Australia. Growing up in Lynwood and moved to Northam in 1979 to finish his schooling. He always dreamed of being a writer and during the 80s started to think of stories about an experiment that gives you the power of dream reality, where you dream of the past, present, and future. The story is about a boy who solved a mystery through his dreams. He decided to make the story as a screenplay initially. He also was involved with amateur theatre group during the 80s and 90s. He performed for Patch Theatre, Wanneroo and YALDA Young Australia League Drama Academy. He has won awards at YALDA 1991 Best Actor, 1992 Overall All Excellent, and 1994 Best Actor, and 1995 Best Actor. And on today's episode of our interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today DJ Brand. Welcome on the show, Don.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. It, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show too. Don, could you tell us about your book, The Dark Secret of Ian's Peak, The Experiment? How does this book come about? What inspired you to write The Dark Secret of Ian's Peak?
Well, Peter, it came back from when I was young. I used to always enjoy writing, and everything I can write about, I will write. I was also curious about things,
Oh,
and I was actually interested in caves. And with the Dark Secret of Inns Peak, there's a cave in there, and Inns Peak is a fictional town that I created.
mm,
And there's a cave just outside Inns Peak where kids were warned not to go in because it's called Cave Death. Anyone who
oh,
enters never return. So anyway, a couple of these kids just ignored the parents that's warning them and decide to have a discovery inside the cave. Now, in the cave, they have actually stumbled across an old scientific experiment
oh,
that was actually created back in 1892. Um, and one of the kids, James, he got electrocuted
oh,
mucking around with the experiment. Now, and that gave him the power of dream reality, and he started having visions about the future, and
mm,
some of it's about the past. One of the things he had a vision of was the tragic death of his father,
mm.
and he tried to warn him. So I'm not going to get into too much of the plot. Don't want to give too much away. But and he dreams of the past as well. And the whole actual book is he solves mystery through his dreams. So so he could actually yeah. So he actually through the first book he solved the mystery
Wow.
and helped people as well.
That's really amazing to know, really. I love your take on that. And could you leave the book to the camera if you have a copy of it there with you that you love to leave to the camera just so we can see what it looks like?
Yeah, sure. That's the first book. Um,
Yeah, The Dark Secret of Ian Speak. And that's a beautiful cover, really. Interesting,
it's
part one.
that one, yeah, called
Yeah.
the
Oh, Dawn, knowing that The Dark Secret of Ian Speak is a series novel, how far have you gone with the upcoming series? And without giving much information away, could you tell us about the making of the second series?
Yeah, I'm actually quite excited about the second book because the second book goes way back to 1860. And that's actually 30 years before the experiment was first made.
Oh,
And he dreams in the opening of the story, a guy disappeared from an elevator in the hospital. And and he takes him to this darkened place inside the hospital, which I call it the basement. Right, so he
Mm,
dreams about the 1860 at the same time. Now, is there a connection between 1860 and what's actually happening to these people
oh,
in today's society? So there is a connection there. Now, I started the book um, with I, halfway through it. I didn't know which way to go,
mm,
but then I ended up having time travel also part in the book. So it's a bit of a supernatural and sci-fi mixed in one.
mm,
Now my book's actually gone as far like I'm doing the third book, which is called Deja Vu. I've actually
oh,
got plots for the fourth book, the fifth book, and the sixth. So it's going to be a few stories in the actual series.
wow. Well, that's quite amazing to know. And thank you so much for sharing. It sounds very interesting to know how the series is going forth and to have a sneak also into the second series. Sounds pretty much interesting to me. Now, Dawn, I've always been fascinated about how authors, especially novelist writer like yourself, craft long sentences and brings words together in a way that it eventually makes a great novel. These always leave me thinking about how exactly they got their ideas and inspiration. Now, as far as writing is concerned, I would also love to ask you, how do you get your inspiration and ideas? Where did they come from?
Ideas actually every day I get ideas. I
Mm,
could be driving along and I could see things and I get ideas through that. I get ideas through work. Just walking around me and seeing certain things. I also get ideas from dreams. And I years ago I
wow.
had a dream that my dad called me, ring me rather, from on the telephone, but not from today. He rang me from 1970. So he was
Mm,
communicating with me through from another decade. And then in my second book, I had that idea of this journal that the Professor Links left behind from 1890.
mm,
So what happens is that if the professor wants to communicate with James in 2022, he writes things in the journal. So of course, 100 years later, it would actually appear on the page. You know
mm.
what I mean? So yeah, so that's where I got that idea from. That was actually from a dream. Um, but I do get ideas just by every day sort of things, talking to people, um,
Wow.
you know, and reading myself.
Mm. Wow, that's quite amazing to know. I love how you get your ideas, and it's so amazing and surprising to see that some writers, I would say, so many that I've spoken with said they get their ideas from dreams. So I spoke to one yesterday, mentioned that okay, they get the ideas from dream, and to know that you too sometimes get your ideas from dream, it's amazing to
Yes,
me, really. It's really an amazing thing to know. Yeah, I love the sound of it.
that's why it's
Yeah.
dream reality.
Absolutely. That's very amazing to know. Now, Dawn, I'm curious to know if you experienced any challenges while writing your book. If there is any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame it? Also, how do you handle criticism as a writer?
Yeah, that's challenging challenges
Yeah.
with the um, I find every character put in the book is a challenge, and that because you have to think of um, who this character is,
Mm,
what whose the relatives are. You have to actually put down the background of each character,
yeah,
and you have to think how they think,
absolutely.
what they like, things like that. So it's a very interesting challenge, and I do to overcome it, I just sort of think, what would I do if I was that person? It's like in when you're acting,
Mm.
you're playing a character. You're just playing one character. When you're writing a book, you're actually playing every character in the book.
Amazing to know, really. I particularly love your answers to these questions. It sounds very, educative and quite informative to me. So thank you for sharing. Dawn, now, apart from The Dark Secret of Aeon's Peak, do you have any other works you've altered or maybe currently working on?
I sort of got unfinished work. Um,
Oh,
I actually found some today, would you believe? I was going through the box and I actually found one, was called Big in the Middle. I started like 15 years ago. I forgot
oh,
about this one. But when I was reading it, I may actually put it into one of my Dark Secret of Instinct
oh,
part of
interesting.
their series. And that's what I do sometimes is that there could be other stories or
Mm,
other ideas that I started, I could actually add into my Dark Secret of Instinct.
mm. Yeah, that's quite great to know. That's quite amazing to know. I love your take on that. And I'm hopeful that that goes on successfully too. Now, Dawn, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered ever since you got published?
Yeah, publishing. When I got my book published, I was a bit nervous about it.
Hmm.
Yes, because I just think, oh, someone's going to finally read my book, and when I have people come up to me, like someone from work came up and said, "Oh, he shipped my book," and first thing I thought was, "Oh no, she's going to actually read it," and
Oh.
I don't know what she would think of it and things like that. And that's I think that's the scary part about it. But even though I said that, it's
Mm,
actually really good, uplifting. Wanted me to write the second book,
mm.
and I'm excited about getting into the third book.
Wow, that's quite amazing to know. I love the sound of it. That's quite great to know. Now, Dawn, is there anything that you would love to share with the viewers about your book that we did not mention in this interview and you would love the viewers to know?
Yeah, I do actually. Now, in the books, in all my series books,
Yeah.
each time he has a dream, right?
Oh.
The dream in the font is italic, so it's actually different to the rest of the book. So when someone start reading the book, every
Yeah.
time they see every time they see the chapter or the part that's in italic, they would
Mm,
know a dream. Right? So people would start knowing what part's the dream and what part's not the dream.
mm.
And also, there's a cliffhanger at the end of each book. When
Wow.
I Yeah, so it goes on to the next book. Now, when I start the second book, I've already done the cliffhanger before I actually start writing the book, so I
Oh.
actually know what's the next book going to be about. So I've started the third book. I've already done the cliffhanger for the fourth, so I know what the fourth book's going to be about. So that's how I work it. So unfortunately, when people get to the end of the cliffhanger, it's going to stop there, and they think, "Oh, what's going to happen next?" And
Yeah.
that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, I particularly love that. And, we are all people love suspense, and I like the fact that you add a cliffhanger towards the ending, which of course is gonna captivate readers to want to check the next series and see what is gonna come up, follow through from what has already happened in the first book. So that's an amazing thing to incorporate in the novel, and yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite amazing to know. I love the sound of it. Now, Dawn, as a published author, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book like yours? Also, would you like to read a section of your book? It could be a favorite page or paragraph, just so we
Yeah.
can see what your writing looks like.
Yeah, no, as well, the advice I would give people is they keep doing it, keep writing, keep trying to get it published.
Yeah,
And that's I'll push them, and I wanted to get it published, get it out there. So it's a good sort of journey.
yeah,
Just keep doing it. Don't leave it in a box for 20 years
absolutely.
like I did. But yeah, um, okay, I'm going to read a section. Um, I'm not going to read all about when they first went in the cave, but I
Okay,
will read the last bit of when they entered the cave. So they're actually
that's
already at
great.
the door of the cave. Okay, so we looked around for more clues in the inscription and the way of opening the door. I had my notebook, so I wrote down the inscription. The inscription was dream reality. Okay.
Oh,
Josh found a way to open the door. There was a strange looking button under a rock that he decided to push. The door opened like the door of an elevator. We saw what looked like a laboratory, as described by Mary Shelley in the Frankenstein classic. There was a long rusty bench, and buttons and levers and switches were on the walls. I wonder what happened here, Josh said, with great curiosity.
mm,
I'm not sure, I replied, but I would love to find out. We entered the room to look around, and I went straight to the bench to inspect it. Josh wandered over to have a closer look at the buttons and levers. The the machine looked too old and dusty, as if it had been sitting there for hundreds of years. I thought I
mm.
would have a bit of, it was a headpiece connected with wires and on the machines. I managed to put it on for my amusement. Hey, look at me, I said. I'm Frankenstein's monster. Get off that thing, Josh said, fairly concerned and warned. You don't know how dangerous this thing could be. Relax, will you? I said, looking at Josh. I know what I'm doing. And besides, this thing looks harmless enough. I don't know, James, Josh replied. I noticed there was straps attached to the bench to go around the body. Just strap me up, I said. I don't like this, James. Josh strapped me down to the bench as I couldn't move at all. Ah! I growled, moving around like a monster. It startled Josh and me, and he's starting to move backwards. I won't read the rest of that, but he actually hit the switches at the back of him, and that activated the machine. And then Josh got
Oh,
electrocuted, and he gets electrocuted, and then they got out of the cave in time for the cave to collapse.
oh, wow.
So yeah,
Wow, that's quite amazing to know. That's pretty much amazing. And I love your recitation. And yeah, I love your tone of recitation too. And how you keep on with the pitch and tempo. Sounds quite interesting to me. Thank you for reading. Don, in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview and would love to get a copy of your book, on what platform is it available on for purchase?
you can purchase it on my website, tjbrandbooks.com, or you can they sell it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any online bookstores. You can
Hmm.
buy it as paperback, and you can buy the ebook as well, version of it. And I'm trying to get it on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh,
So that should be on Kindle Unlimited very soon.
yeah.
And the second book, The Basement, should be released in I think it's going to be released by March, April.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. And I hope that goes on well successfully. And I left a link in the discussion part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Don Brown's books directly on Amazon and on his website. So thank you so much, Don, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
Thanks, Peter. It's been good.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well.